So hey, this is Dr. Eric here in West Bloomfield, Michigan. We're here today with Dr. Nima Rahmany. What's happening?
Good. You got a question?
Good. Yeah, so what I've noticed lately in the last month or so in the office, a lot of my patients, including children, are definitely showing signs or they're coming in with a lot of what I call post-traumatic stress disorder. Everything from just, car accidents that a mom had and her daughter was in the car to, like a very intense, family situation going on. So I've been noticing that a lot lately, and it's really interesting to see how that affects their physiology.
Yeah. Post-traumatic stress, working as a chiropractor for 14 years, on occasion a patient will come in. And what I've learned by doing a lot of the emotional work that I do now, it's important when you have post-traumatic stress, what we want to do is to shut off the stress response. So, normally they've already, when they've come to a chiropractor's office, they've already been given medication or they've been prescribed, to do yoga or meditation or relaxation techniques and just kind of breathing exercises. And the whole goal is to lower the stress response, and that's very important. Chiropractic care is really important as well. Removing the stress from the nervous system gives us an advantage when we're working with the person. So you don't want to do emotional work with a nervous system that's been stuck out of alignment. So the first and foremost is you get them checked with the chiropractor. My approach that I've noticed that has miraculous results, I've discovered you cannot have post-traumatic stress disorder without the belief that where I was or that event, and this could happen anything. We all go through, various post-traumatic events. I had a patient who was held at gunpoint when she was 14 years old, and she had to fight for her life. I had another patient who was beaten with a gun, and he was mugged when he was 21 years old. And so, hold on one second. Let me just shut that on. There we go. Sorry about that. So these were the effects of those types of events. So we go through stressful events each and every day. So it's like a continuum. It can, getting fired from a job, having a breakup. These aren't, like life-threatening types of things, but the responses that we can go through in these stressful events can be like a post-traumatic stress disorder. Like if you're having a problem sleeping, or you're ruminating thoughts always, or you're constantly anxious after the event, you're having a post-traumatic stress-like event. And so even though the category in the DSM-V will say you have to have a list of all of these things to be categorized as post-traumatic stress disorder, there's no blood test for it. There's no real test. It's just kind of like, yeah, you had a really crappy thing happen to you, and it's really, really traumatic on you, and so now you have post-traumatic stress. The anxiety that's associated with an event that was extremely stressful. And that can range from life-threatening to, something very simple. Somebody gave you the finger, driving the car on the road, and you're driving home, and you're just still stressed out about that whole event. So it ranges. It's a continuum. And I've noticed that every post-traumatic stress disorder, the belief of the person is the exact same. And the belief is that I shouldn't have been there, or it should never have happened. Now, so long as you have the belief that I shouldn't have been there or it shouldn't have happened, no matter what you do, no matter what treatment that you do, will always result in numbing the problem, sweeping it under the rug, but the problem, the post-traumatic stress disorder, is still the same. I've had patients even tell me, yeah, my doctor says I'll have PTSD for the rest of my life. That's not true. The classic example that I have is you have two war veterans, and I've seen a case, two war veterans in the same event, wartime event. One of them has post-traumatic stress disorder, has anxiety, becomes an addict, the life spirals downward, and then you say, what happened? You say, well, it was because of that event, and he uses that event as his reason for why. The same kind of platoon or group of you know people in the military who were in the same event, one person who sees it that way, the other one will say, he becomes an entrepreneur, transcends that stressful event, sees how it served him, and becomes an entrepreneur, multimillionaire. And you say, how did this all begin? He goes, well, it was because of that event and all the lessons that I learned that prepared me for life. And so I was always fascinated by what is it that causes one to go one way and another person to go another way. And what I discovered was the belief. So long as you have the belief that I should not have been there, you will always have post-traumatic stress disorder. And sometimes this disorder becomes your identity. So because you become a PTSD patient, letting go of that label becomes very threatening. So you have another layer of challenge to overcome. So for those people who truly want to eliminate the feelings of it, I had a patient who witnessed her mother pass away. And I said, and she's been having post-traumatic stress disorder for 20 years as a result of it. She's one of my first ever overview clients. And I said, well, this is only for those who are ready to abandon that label and ready to move forward. And she said, yes, I'm ready. I said, are you sure? Because in order for us to work on this, I'm going to be calling on you to go to those events. Go to those events that are really traumatic, that event that happened, really traumatic, and we're going to get you to bring up the feelings again. So that's not for everyone. Not everyone's ready for that. Some people just don't want to go there, and they're not ready to challenge their beliefs. They have the belief it shouldn't have happened, and they don't want to look at it from any other way. Even though terrible things happen to people, people act in very uninspiring ways. But as long as you put the onus on the situation and say that it should never have happened, you will always be a victim to it, and that nobody ever healed from remaining a victim to that event. And so there is a way to transform it, and it's by going through a process of self-inquiry, asking yourself some very powerful questions, getting you to kind of take what I call an overview perspective on it and look at that same event from a completely different set of eyes, tying it to your highest values. I mean, Eric, I was working with you one time. You had a traumatic event that happened 5-6 years ago, what you perceived to be traumatic. And after we went through a series of questions, did you still have the belief that it shouldn't have happened?
Oh, absolutely. That completely shifted for me. I saw how that actually propelled me to get to the point where I'm at, today. So it shifted immediately.
If anyone is having a post-traumatic event and they are only when they're ready to abandon that label, my suggestion is to go back to that event and write down a list of all the benefits and all how it served. I know you think, oh, my life has been horrible ever since. But no, look and be very truthful. How has it served you? What have you gained from it? And don't stop until you can actually say, I wouldn't change a thing. And that's kind of the foundation of the overview method. It's just kind of a skimming off the top of what it is. But essentially, when you can become grateful for the event, that's when you have literally abandoned that label and you're no longer a prisoner to your emotions, to the past, and you're no longer looking back or looking around you. You're now looking forward to helping others with this new insight that you see how it's actually served you. And that's the only way out of your emotional prison, is to see how it has served you and see the reasons why at the time, it should have happened and what you gained from it. That's a tall order for most people, but it's possible if you're willing to go there.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. All right.
So if you have any other questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask, and I look forward to seeing you on the flip side.
Yeah, we'll see you on the other side.